Welcome to Talk Across America. I'm Doug Miles, and we're here in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. It's a great pleasure now to welcome to our Book Talk segment both authors of a book that I think a lot of people are going to get some great information out of it, maybe a little humor as well as we hit the new year here. People are more concerned. I guess maybe they take more of a stock in their health at this time of the year. It's called Am I Dying? Should You Chill Out or Freak Out? A complete guide to your symptoms and what to do next. We're joined today by Dr. Christopher Kelly and Dr. Mark Eisenberg, and they're based up in New York City, of course, Columbia University Medical Center, and they join us by telephone. And Doctor, it's good to talk with you. Happy New Year, and thanks for being with us. How are you?
Happy New Year to you. Thank you for having us.
I guess this is, like I said, the time of the year. Everybody wishes everybody good health in the new year, and I guess people kind of take a little bit more of a pay attention after the holidays. They want to get back in shape, so a good time for this book to come out.
We hope so. Hope it's helpful. New year, new you.
What, just kind of reading through the book, again, it really gives a primer in the sense of different symptoms people have or different health situations. And again, people tend to panic maybe when they shouldn't, or maybe they should do more than they do when they have something. So you kind of break it down that way. But what brought you together to write this book at this time?
Yeah, so we're both in practice in New York City. We see patients all the time who have been experiencing some symptoms and have looked them up online. I mean, who among us doesn't do that, right? While they're waiting for their doctor's appointment. But what we found was that a lot of the information online was confusing or misleading or just generally unhelpful, and that it was hard for people to get a straight answer. So we wanted to create a book that goes through symptoms very systematically. So it goes through fevers. I'm sorry, I'm having an alarm in my background right now.
Oh, that's all right.
Mark, do you want to...
Yeah, I can take over.
Do you want to just mute me, and Mark, you can go over until this goes away?
Sure.
All right, Mark, why don't you...
Okay, yeah, go ahead,
Hope
Mark.
he's not dying. So we created a...
Get him a copy of that book.
We created a... I think there's a lot of information out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation out there. And in our book, we, take every chapter, we have a different symptom, and we try to help people decide how serious the symptom is, whether they can be reassured, whether they should make a doctor's appointment, or whether they should go to the ER. We try to give people a plan, because at 2 in the morning when you wake up and you're not feeling great, nobody wants to rush to the emergency room unless they really need to.
Right. Yeah, I guess you bring up a good point, and nothing wrong with the internet as far as looking up things, but I think people now use that as a diagnostician maybe more than they need to, and that can cause problems, right?
Yeah, I mean, the internet could be a great resource, but again, it could also be a source of misinformation. The problem with a lot of websites are that you start off looking at something like an infected toenail, and before you know it, you're having, a lung clot that went to your leg, and you're going to have gangrene, because you keep clicking, and before you know, you have no clue how you got there, and now you're all freaked out for a symptom you don't even have.
I guess the internet's terrible for hypochondriacs, though, because they think they have everything. Right?
There's a mix between trying to be a hypochondriac and be appropriately concerned. So, I mean, most people are appropriately concerned, but still.
Well, give a couple of examples of things we all go through. I guess a sore throat would be one that maybe stays longer than it should, or a cough. I guess those are the common ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, this time of year, a lot of people have sore throats and a cough, and it's most likely caused by the common cold. And everyone's freaked out about whether they should go to an emergency room. Do they have strep? Do they have the flu? Clearly most sore throats are the common cold. If you have high fevers, or you can't swallow, or you have severe muscle weakness, then you could actually have something like strep or the flu. But most sore throats go away after a few days as long as you keep hydrated and take some Advil or Tylenol for the pain.
I would guess 90% of everything that people go through health-wise probably clears up on its own in a couple of days. If it doesn't, then maybe you take a look at going to a doctor. Is that about right?
Well, the problem is things that really can be severe, like heart attacks and strokes, you can't wait a couple of days.
No, I'm not talking about that.
So what we try to do with our symptoms are, in each symptom, try to tell you which, what things you need to look out for and what you should be concerned about. But the majority, we all have new symptoms all the time. The majority of them do go away.
Yeah, shortness of breath, obviously, that's one that something you should take right away, because that could be heart or anything else. So that's one you can't wait on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Chest pain
But,
would be
there's some
another one.
stuff with shortness. Huh? Which one?
Chest pain would be another one, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, we all have chest pain. A lot of us start, in the new year working out and lifting some weights, and then the next day you have a little pain that gets, in your chest that, when you touch it, it gets worse, and, it goes away after a few seconds. Something like that you don't need to worry about. So there are some, some things with chest pain that aren't an emergency that will likely go away.
I guess the other one, you always see that, on TV shows and movies, people get stomach pain and it becomes appendicitis. How do you know the difference there, right? That's one.
Yeah, so that's another symptom. It's very common, being, some abdominal pain or nausea or vomiting, especially after, in this season. I think with appendicitis, it's really bad pain in the middle of your abdomen that gets, that one causes a lot of nausea, vomiting, and also just no desire to eat or drink. You totally lose your appetite, and the thought of food repulses you. And the symptoms sometimes shoot down to the right, and that's when it's very, very concerning.
As a doctor, Dr. Eisenberg, and your colleague there, Dr. Kelly, again, going back to people looking things up on the internet, I guess that makes your job a little more challenging, because people come in and say, well, we already know what's going on, so it puts your job, it makes it harder, right, for you guys?
Well, actually, no. To be honest, most doctors and nurses are used to it by now. I actually like it when my patients partake in their medical care. They're more likely to be, responsible about what medications they take and follow guidelines. We all expect people to look up their symptoms, but that's a very good question. When people do come to a doctor, even if you have looked up your symptoms, the best approach is just tell your doctor not what you think they are, but just tell your doctor your symptoms and let your doctor decide what's going on. If by the end of the meeting the doctor hasn't come up with the thing you Googled, you should bring that up and say, well, could it be this, just to see what the doctor says. But always try to leave an open mind and let the doctor not be biased.
Right, yeah. You went to school for it. We're just looking things up. You should know more than we do, right?
Yeah.
Is there a particular site? I guess WebMD seems to be the most popular for people, if they're going to look up things. Is that considered by doctors to be the best one?
Well, again, there's a lot of sites out there, and it's very hard for people to pick which site to go on.
Right.
I think it also depends on your symptoms. If you're traveling somewhere and you want to know guidelines for vaccinations or infections, the CDC website is good. A lot of the government websites or university websites are written by doctors, and those are the ones you want to stick to. We have a website called amidying.com where we write funny, new current medical stuff. So hopefully people can look at our website, and that'll be informative.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that in a minute. Before we wrap it up, are there symptoms, more common symptoms that people come to you and other doctors with that are above all others that maybe that they think that they have something wrong with them? Is there one over any others?
I think, again, this time of year, the biggest symptoms people have are a sore throat or a mild cough. I think it depends on the time of year,
And so many people, I guess, you see all these ads that scare you about cancer. I guess people worry about that a lot, too, don't they? Something, a little lump, they think they have cancer, right?
That's true, and the other problem is every fourth commercial on TV is a pharmaceutical commercial, and after talking about the medication side effects, that freaks people out too. So one, you might think you might have the illness they're talking about on TV, but then it makes people freaked out about the medication side effects too.
And the last line of all those pharmaceutical ads is ask your doctor.
Dying. I was going to say the side effect of death usually freaks people out too.
Right. Well, the book is called Am I Dying? A Complete Guide to Your Symptoms and What to Do Next. And a really fascinating book. Like you said, there's humor in it as well, even though it's dealing with serious issues. And we've been talking with Dr. Mark Eisenberg and Dr. Christopher Kelly, his co-author. And give out the website again, Doctor, and where they can get the book.
It's amidying.com, and you can get our book on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, or at most, bookstores are starting to sell the book. So we're very excited about it.
Great. We'll also put a link on our website to it as well. But, Doctor, thank you for being with us, and hopefully we can talk to you again.
That would be great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us today on Talk Across America.
Please visit our website at dougmilesmedia.com for more great interviews and content. And if you're interested in any of the books we talk about on the program, please click the Amazon link on our website. It helps support the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again real soon here from beautiful Sarasota, Florida.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.